threw us a little bit off guard.
Oh shit, what the fuck's going on?
Vibecka, you back? Nicozy DC'd, so it kind of threw us off a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, as soon as you said the 9/11 comment, imagine that. We got DC'd.
Okay. Okay.
So,
confirmed.
Put my camera back.
Yeah, so we're going to put this one on you. The cameras are going to be a little messed up until Nicozy gets back, but we're going to trudge forward.
Okay. I was speaking so much afterwards, I didn't even realize.
Oh, jeez. Alright, so you were talking about it. Yeah, you can just kind of pick up where you left off.
I guess you heard me when I said we did 29s, didn't like it. We went 39, we made a guild. 9/11. Yeah. So we did at 9/11 2014. We did the 39 twin guild. That we since that have found to be the best bracket. And since that we have had ups and downs. We have had like really good activity. So we have had pops or like because there have never been alliance guilds. But we have had like 2s and 3s and well, long time back I guess there was, but not at the moment.
Yeah, boys.
Oh, speaking of alliance.
Yeah. So we have always been like we invite people either if they're cross. I don't care. Like we just get people play 2s or 3s, and that's what we do. We play arenas or unlocked experience BGs.
I don't know how I feel about that one, but we'll move right past that. And I like the initiative of getting, the arena scene going and stuff like that. So it's like, how did you
that's the main thing.
Come about? Like, you came from 20s to 29s, you popped up into 39s. Was it tough trying to get other people to make tunes for a dead bracket?
Well, we've always been like, we say me and 2 others, we always like stick together. And then there's one other guy who joined us when we started to play 39, and he had been like sticking with us since then. So we 4 have always been able to play 2s, if so. But then we've always had like other people joining. It's still hard to get like people to be consistent to play, but some people they log on, they play, and then maybe don't join the next day, but they will play again. Like, but it's not really like they play as much as we do. But it have increased, like, but it's hard. It's hard. People have the argument that it takes so much time to level to 39. I'd say 2.5 hours to get to 39 from 29. So it's not really that long.
No, it's not. The whole time of leveling has made things significantly easier to do.
Yeah.
So we kind of got a little bit of your background. Nicozy, let's hear yours as far as the EU scene goes.
Yeah, EU and 39s.
Yeah.
I guess I kind of joined the bracket and the guild that I led for a while after that in Wrath of the Lich King called Hival. And it was basically back when you could get games going. So we had games going in Wrath of the Lich King, obviously. And then a lot of the old school guys started playing other stuff or just quit the game entirely. And that's when basically me and Bianco took over the guild and kept it alive through Kata and also small part of MOP with 39s.
So you guys kind of experienced the same problems US did in Kata, where was it a prot warrior related issue, or I mean, I'm sorry, going into MOP, was it a prot warrior related issue, or?
No, it was just we had me and Bianco and also Stubbs had ran the guild through entire Cataclysm, and we basically we had to do so much to get people to play, and we really had to work hard on getting the consistency. So when MOP came out, I just think we lost a little bit of motivation to keep going for 39s, and we focused more on 19s. But yeah, that's basically we had some really fun games through Kata, played a lot of arenas. It was really a balanced bracket, even though not a lot of people know about it since Kata 39s wasn't played much, but it was great fun.
Well, we've had talks in the past, and Moran, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this one class/spec in particular that Nicozy and his arena squad used to quite, you kind of did some work with it, I guess I would say, and that's the Holy Priest.
Yeah.
Holy Priest?
Yeah.
I played, like, during the last, like, mini revival, I played Holy Priest for a few BGs. It's okay. Like, Renew doesn't heal for very much, but if you can get people on your team to, like, click the light ward with the light ward glyph, is it called light ward? Lightwell?
Yes.
Sorry, if you can get people on your team to actually click the Lightwell with the glyph, it heals for a lot, like a significant amount. And you can click the Lightwell, I think, from like 40 yards away. Like, you can click it from pretty far away, I'm pretty sure. So if you can get people to do that, it's actually pretty viable. So if you're like in a pre-made, if you're queuing with other people, it's actually not that bad of an idea to play with the Holy Priest, just because their AoE healing is pretty decent. But like, Disc will always out heal Holy, just because shields are really strong for just like putting out like raw healing numbers, like scoreboard numbers. But Holy's pretty fun. Like, I played it for a while. I enjoyed it for the most part.
Yeah, I gotta put it in perspective because this was in Kata and it was primarily about arenas. So Holy Priest was, because you actually had Fair, you had Chastise, you had Tidal if you were grandfathered, you had Mind Control. So it was all about CC basically. So that's why Holy Priest was the spec to go.
I think the problem with Priest, at least at max level, like, cause there's a few, like, there's one or so like high level priests that played Holy, but the problem with this spec is it didn't have the passive damage reduction that Disc had. I forget what that passive is called, where Disc priests take like, I think it's like, no, it wasn't Inner Fire. It's just a pass, like priests have it right now, where they take 30% reduced damage, like at all times. I think.
Yeah. It's the Disciplined Will. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. But Holy didn't have that in Kata, and I think they got it in Mop. That's why everyone was playing Holy Priest at max level in Mop, because they got that, and then they had the other cool things that, you know, like the Angel, the Guardian. I can't remember the names of these spells. Like,
this shows how much we've played Holy Priest in the lower level brackets over the years.
But I don't know if they didn't have that. They definitely didn't have that in Kata at level 39, and Disc Priest might have had that at 39. But Holy, I don't know. To me, it's just, I like specs like that where it's like goofy. I actually play like Holy at 19 for a while, queuing arena. It's kind of fun. Like, it's not nearly as good as Disc, but it's kind of fun, like chastising like other healers on their casts. Like, they're not expecting that to happen. It's pretty fun.
And we got it. It's Wealthy 2. Just let us know. It's Focused Will.
Focused Will
was the passive talent we're thinking of. So let's. The reason you hit me up, Vibecka, was to talk about the potential for EUs to have sort of a renaissance that hopefully can resemble what 39's US side are going through now. So what are some of the steps being taken, or what's even made you think that this can actually happen?
Well, first off, I've seen like people showing interest actually join. Some people have said that they will make characters if they see that the activity and possibility of pops being made, or like being made. Then there's like a lot of people that actually want to make their characters, but they haven't made yet because they don't know. But I just say that if you make your character, we're one step closer to get pops, which is true because everyone like have something to bring if they make a character. And also there have been this one guy who were about to join our guild, but asked, are there even like any alliance guilds? And I said, no, we don't. There's no alliance guilds at the moment. And he said, I'll make one. So like there's a start. He got a few members. I guess he was like, yeah, I'll get a lot of people, but he haven't succeeded yet. But it's about to come, I think. Like, it's about to grow. And then there is some 19s that play, like, because 19 BGs are still rolling on EU.
Okay.
And there is this French guild, and some of their, like, the leader there, he wants to do something new. I think he started to, like, I don't know, he wants to do something else in just 19s. So he might, with his friends, form, if not a new guild, they, like, I don't know, make 39s at least. So that could be huge. So yeah,
it's a lot of it is just initiative, and having someone that will actually step up and kind of take that mantle and be like, listen.
Exactly. I can't do it because I run the Horde guild, so I can't really start to like make an alliance guild. So it have to be someone else and someone that I believe can make it, because
Well, what do you think about that, Nicozy? Because you have a long history on EU. What do you think it would take in order to get that, say, alliance side popping, running, and see the dream of 39s over across the pond become a reality?
I don't know, like, we in Cata, we used to focus a lot on just pure war games. And we did manage to get a second guild going with on the Horde side as well. So we did manage to get some in between Horde and Alliance, but we also had the Alliance versus Alliance. I think it's just focus on getting enough people to be interested, and then just try and play as much as possible, and probably do it through war games at first, because I think there's a way larger player pool in US that have experience with 39s from before, or are used to like playing competitively from 19s or whatever, and who are more eager to play 39s, I think. So I think it's just more focus on getting actual games so people can see it, and then people might possibly join after.
Yeah, like, Moran, do you have any sort of thoughts on this, and any possibly advice from what you've seen? You know, as someone that used to play XP off way back in the day, and then kind of came back from the Twink Cup, experienced 19s, seen various iteration of 39s, that might be helpful to Vibecka and the rest of the EU community trying to get the ball rolling on this?
I think the war games is important. Like, before like the revival actually starts, I think it's important to play war games, because that's what we were doing. And I think Nicozy was in a few of those war games. Like, it was like Living Force, Eye Shape, like Tap Out. Like, we all like ran war games. Like, even though they were like 6v6s or 7v7s, like they weren't ever 10v10s. Like, running those war games, I think, was really important, because like, first of all, it gave people who are newer to the bracket like a feel of how games would go. You know, and it gave people a bit of time to adjust, right? Because like, a lot of the people right now that are starting to make 39s are like 19 players. I mean, there are a lot of 29s I know playing 39s, but I think there's a lot of people jumping up from 19, like, as evidenced by the fact that 19 Qs haven't been as good. And you know, so those people who come into the bracket need to, like, you know, start feeling comfortable with it, because if people aren't comfortable playing something, and they're not going to really have a fun time, and they're going to be less likely to play it. So yeah, I think having the war games is really important. And then like having like arena queues too. If you can like designate like an arena queue night, or just tell people to queue 3s or Q2s, that's always good, I think.
I mean, yeah, I mean, even just the arena queue thing, it kind of goes hand in hand with a war game. Maybe you're not getting a 10v10 war game. All right, let's just do some arenas. Something to maintain the interest. Something to give people who have their 39 something to do with them and get that better feel can go a long way when you're talking to your buddy who's, you know, playing 19. He's like, I don't want to go there. What am I going to do? Make the tune and pray that things pop? And then, like, say, Vibecka, you get your buddies together. You got some arenas going one night. It's like, dude, maybe it's only 1 or 2 nights a week you got them going, but they're balanced as hell. They're fun. You can play a whole wide variety of specs and classes that just would not work at 19.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we play almost every day, to be honest, like, because we are just like 4 consistent players, and then we bring in the other ones, like, so they get to join, or like, because we 4 are not always there, but when we are, we want to play as much as we can.
Yeah.
and us, like, we all have multiple characters, so we can make the most balanced teams and like try out things. Like, say Rhett, how is Rhett doing in arenas, or how is Affliction Warlock doing in 2v2s, and like stuff like that. It's fun to like just mix up and like see what's actually good.
And that actually brings me to a point. Before we started the cast, we were kind of talking about, you know, what classes are really good, what classes aren't so good. Like you're saying, you're testing out Rhett, and I find Rhett actually to be pretty decent in arenas.
Yeah.
So
I main Rhett.
So you're like, you're goddamn right, they're good, son. They do some work.
Yeah.
So let's go off on that, and this will hopefully be informative, you know, to people listening that are looking to make tunes and such for 39s. Like, Nicozy, what are your thoughts on, like, I guess, what classes are, say, doing well right now?
I think pretty much any class can do well right now. I mean, yeah, it depends on how you want to look at it, I guess. There's some classes and specs that are probably more overpowered or just more plain annoying than others. Like, you can roll pretty much anything and be successful. I think you just gotta go into it with an open mind and also really trying to focus on improving. If you're playing certain stuff, make it work.
That's a big thing too, though, isn't it? It's something HB and I talked about on the last cast, where if, as we move forward, it seems like gear is going to become less and less important, put more time on how you play the character. Because as we're seeing now, and I think you have some thoughts on this that you were saving for the cast, Moran, there are certain classes / specs that seem, I mean, they're dependent upon gear, but once you get that gear, it almost doesn't matter what you do. You can just kind of be pretty good on them. I don't know. Maybe you want to pick up on that thought, Mo?
Yeah. Well, like, certain classes definitely scale better with gear. Like combat rogues scale by far the best with gear upgrades. For a few different reasons. The one being like having melee DPS always benefit from having better weapons. Like weapon upgrades on melee is a lot more important than weapon upgrades on casters. And then combat rogues get like twice as much attack power. So I think like as I mentioned before the cast, like people are talking about, you know, like ferals, enhancement shamans, and BM monks, for, you know, classes that are OP, and, you know, gear matters on those classes for sure. Especially, actually, BM monks probably benefit pretty well from gear too, just because, you know, the main contended ability is guard, and guard scales with your attack power. So the more attack power you have, the better your guard is. But like the thing that's scary about ferals, I mean, the one thing that's OP about ferals, like, you know, we're talking before the cast when we all basically agreed that like ferals aren't, I mean, they're like a trick pony. They're kind of a problem, but they're not that big of a problem. They're just kind of like a mild nuisance at best. But the thing that's kind of scary about ferals is they don't really depend on gear as much as the other classes. That is the one thing that's scary about ferals, and the reason being is because ferocious bite damage is really high by default. Like, even if you were to take a feral and take off like all his gear and have a 5-point ferocious bite with like Savage Roar and whatever that buff is, Tiger's Fury and Savage Roar up, like it would still be like a probably like a 4K bite or something. Like, it would still be a high number.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing that's kind of annoying about ferals, is just how easily, like, you can just literally put together a set with like BOAs. Like, you'd probably even have like Colossus on your weapon if you wanted. Like, you know, you could play like super goofy and just pwn. So that's like one of the things that's strong about ferals. But like the thing that's nice about 39, like 39 caster specifically, is you can pretty much use just BOA gear and like Scarlet Monastery and Scholomance and Dire Maul gear on casters, and you can do fine. Like, your DPS, there isn't like huge item upgrades like there is on other classes like rogues, for example, which have like the BOAs are really bad compared to some of the other gear, and then ferals like they don't need gear at all, then they can do damage.
Well, the whole druid thing is crazy because I mean you have restos, ferocious bites, hitting for decent amounts, which is just insane in and of itself. And there's so Vibecka, as you guys have been doing these arenas, have you noticed anything similar to this? Like, do you have people that are rolling BMs, amping up the attack power, using guard, and it's just like, dude, really?
Well, we like to like, how would you say it? Not play with these classes because we know that they are good. Like enhancements, ferals, and BM monks are especially very good. So we like to, if people are making new characters and they ask what's the best class, we'll say like, as the caster you'd make blah 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 blah. We would never say to make a brewmaster because there's like, we don't find it fun when people are like this crazy, they can't die, like, or they will kill you in like in a global. That's not fun. It's more fun if it's the games actually takes time and get to like be played. So we actually have no brewmasters. We have windwalkers, of course, but no brewmasters. We have a few enhancements and actually no ferals. We've been good to like not make people to make ferals. We have balance druids, resto druids. People like, as you said, resto druid is really good using frostbite to like to put out the extra damage combined it with a caster. That's really good. Like they can do stuff. But we like to not play with as many like melees. We try to minimize it as much as possible because they're not fun to play with.
Yeah, and it makes perfect sense, especially if you're playing in that arena setting. That's one of the places where if a druid gets the opener, it is way more impactful if you only have one or two other people on your back, as opposed to say you're in a midfield clash and you have up to 9 other people on your back.
Yeah, that. Because I've watched some of your games and we have been playing like this unlocked BGs, so it's not really the same thing. And you talked before about gear not make like it doesn't matter for a feral. I can feel like when we play this unlocked BGs, it's the same thing there. Like some people can actually like do stuff there, like random people without gear. They just come in and they can actually like they can do damage, like even though they're not twinked at all. But yeah, like 3 healers in one team, as you have on US, then I understand. You can have more melees than like an arena. It's one guy. If he gets kicked, he can die.
Yeah.
If you face like enhancement, 13 seconds of cooldown on his shear, and he can die. So well, I don't know. But we try to make it like as many like if we play 3v3, we like to play with only casters. Because then it's the most like fair. Then it's about the CC and about people actually knowing what to do. But if you run like double melee, we haven't even gone for it because that's a no way. Like you can't play with a warrior and the red paladin and think like the other team will have a chance. That's not how it works.
If you're playing double melee, you're gonna need someone like Nicozy running up on his frost mage like, dude, I got some novas and some freezes for ya. And there's the third class, I guess, which kind of jumps into the OP discussion is Enhanced Chamois. And Nicozy, you had some thoughts on that again before we actually turned on the broadcast. So you want to give some people some insight onto Enhance and how they may or may not be as overpowered as people think?
Well, they're overpowered. And like if you know how to play Enhance, it's really overpowered. Like because you actually have grounding, you have shear, you have slow, and then you have the damage on cloth is insane. Like it's really stupid. But at the same time, in games, I think Warzone Gulch in particular in games, as long as like I can deal with having one enhancement and maybe one BM and maybe one feral. It's just when it's the class stacking that incurs with so like double BM plus an enhancement shaman and they're also healed by 3 discs. Like that's when it's an issue because they literally just move like through your midfield, like through your DPS, and just stand on top of your healers, and you cannot kill the players standing on top of your healers, even though they're out of position like crazy.
Yeah.
Because they have triple disc. You can just shield on cooldown, just toss one penance, and then just being BM or enhancement, you actually take way less damage than some other classes who will be punished straight away. That's when it becomes an issue, I see.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on that, Moran? Just like as far as enhance goes, I know you touched on the BM and the feral, but like, what about enhance? Do you feel like actually no, let me rephrase this. And I kind of want to switch it to US for a little bit, but it's gonna kind of be relevant to Vibecka, what you want to do as far as getting EU going, and that is everyone loves to bitch. I feel like it's their favorite pastime. I don't know if it's just a PvP related thing, and since you're playing PvP, obviously you're playing against someone else. Someone kills you. There's no way they could be better than you. It's obviously class imbalance. And in some cases, it actually is class imbalance. And we're kind of seeing that come out now. So what do you think about just kind of dealing with these imbalances? Not necessarily what is imbalanced, but dealing with them.
Like, I don't know. I don't think the bans on classes are fair. Like, I don't know if I like that approach. Like, or like the Nasty Girl was saying how like in 29s what they do is they were trying to get ambush rogues banned, and how they would do that is they would have like a spy on the other team who would like literally follow the rogue around the entire game and give away his positioning.
Yes,
like
that happened.
I don't necessarily agree with like everyone AFKing ferals at the beginning, like stuff like that. I don't know if I agree with that. But yeah, I think as Nicozy said, like the real imbalances are when you have all of these classes in the same game with like 3 healers. Like that's when it really becomes a problem. Like individually, an enhance, like I mean, an enhance will be strong, but like in a team fight, like, you know, I think if we were to have a 39 Twin Cup, I think you'd probably have like an enhance on your team, but I don't think stacking like enhance and shamans would benefit you at all. Like I think like in pre-made settings, like the dominant like paradigm is like range DPS. So like I don't know, we'll see how these things play out closer to like when people start pre-mating. But like as far as pugs go, it's like you kind of just have to. That's like one of the things you just have to deal with, I think, when it comes to pugs. Like when you queue pugs, like you like expect to like have like one or so many games where you're gonna be playing against like a bunch of classes you don't like to play against. I mean that's just like it's just an annoying thing you just have to deal with. But like I don't know. I think it's more about. I think the real imbalances come when you don't have as like strong healers on your team, or the other team has better healers, more healers. That's where the really annoying like game imbalances seem to play out. It's not necessarily like the other team has one more enhance. It's like they have one more enhance and they have another healer. Like that's where it's really annoying, at least from my point of view.
So like how do you go and say, tell the person playing enhance, or tell the person, and it's funny because the 3 specs that we're talking about right now have a healer equivalent. So like how do you get those people to be like maybe like why don't you just try playing a healer to make games better? Like is there a way to go about doing that?
I don't think so. Like I mean depending on on the individual, I don't think people are that nice. But like, I mean, if they're like a reasonable, like decent person and they know it's like healthy for the bracket, then they'll probably respect. But like most people, especially people who aren't really part of the community, they're just like players. They don't really contribute much other than just playing, like queuing up. I don't think they'll respect it or anything.
Well, how do you plan on dealing with things like this, Vibecka? Because you guys are going to be starting with a much smaller player pool than US did. And you're going to have to quite literally build it from the ground up. So when these sort of imbalances and the lack of healers and things like that, like do you have a way to kind of deal with that, or a thought process at least to do so?
Well, for now, it's all about just getting the activity going, and I know that the people I play with, we're not gonna play with the OP classes or like anything that we wouldn't like to get faced with. It's like you treat others like you want to be treated. That's how I look at it. I'm not gonna play something that I wouldn't like to face. Really, like of course there is some classes that always will be played. People will play classes like they do on 100. People play DKs, they play whatever. But at some point, people will play the feral. Some people will play the enhancement. I guess that's just how things will be.
Yeah.
But I hope and I believe that people will actually like if they get to face a feral and they get one shot, they won't make a feral. That's what I hope. It's gonna be hard, but I don't know. It's all about getting the activity in first hand, and then I think the things will shine up because people don't want to get like they don't want pops to stop. Like if we get pops going, I believe that people want them to keep going. So yeah, but I don't know. It's not. I don't know. People will be strong-minded if they play enhancement. They'll be like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna go rest or never." But I don't know. My people on that I know, they're not gonna play it just because.
Well, see, that's good, and that's something that I've been trying to stress. Anatomy, Boots, Miranda, like a lot of people try to stress. It's you kind of have to lead from the top down. If you see a recognizable BM that's just spamming the bejesus out of guard, it's going to make that other person that's maybe playing in their first game like, oh, well, he's using guard. I'm going to use guard. Those people on my team telling me not to use guard, that dude's obviously an asshole and he just wants me to die. Fuck that. I'm going to use guard. And you need to lead by example, and it sounds like you understand that and you have at least that core group willing to do so. I mean, that's a great foundation for the bracket. So let's say that foundation grows and you actually are getting it somewhere. Nicozy, what do you think about the prospects of the 39s from EU, such as yourself, Hondura, and a few others, that are playing US side, going back and rocking the EU thing?
To be honest, there's probably not that big of a chance, other than maybe join in for some arenas if we really wanted to do it. But it's just like the entire reason we moved to US, start them up anyway with 19s, was for competitiveness. And then it just snowballed over to 39s now, where it's just a lot of players that know how to play Warsong, that know how to play pre-mades, that understand what work you got to put in to win, stuff like that. And it's just on a higher level than on EU, like at this moment. And that's why a lot of the former top players of 19 EU went US, was because of better quality of games. Like, if I had more time and it was like I had nothing to do, I'll probably join EU 39s, like maybe even today, you know, and help out and stuff like that. It's just I gotta pick my time when to play stuff, and right now I feel like US is the way to go as far as having what I as a player search for, which is like good competitive games.
I mean, that's completely understandable, but at the same time, you know, it's unfortunate. And that's going to be a huge roadblock, I guess, for what you're trying to do, Vibecka.
Well, because I understand exactly what it says, because I know that EU don't have the same, like, competitive PvP when it comes to lower level brackets. And I understand exactly why they moved. I don't know. I've thought about joining US as well, just because to join the game, see how things are. Like, but I haven't done it because I want to get like, because people that I play with, they won't move to US. They're not going to put down money on that or and things like that. So I don't know. I just feel like I'll make a shot, try to get activity going on the EU side. At least if not the Alliance Guild, like if they don't succeed to get activity and we don't succeed to get gain like the pops there, I at least can make the 5v5 or 10v10 war game, Warzone Gulch or Twin Peaks. I can make that within the guild. I've done that on other brackets when things have been like no one else wants to play it. We've made that work before, so I strongly believe that at some point we will be able to do it. I believe.
No, I mean that harkens back to a point that Safety V and EU1 made in the chat. It's reaching out to new twinks from other brackets and kind of bringing them in, because it's silly to think that you're going to just all of a sudden resurrect the 39 bracket and it's going to have the same level of competition, coordination, and skilled player base that, say, the EU variant, or I mean, I'm sorry, the US variant does. I mean, there might not be a lot of, you know, us old fogger ass 39 still playing. We have very good players that are in that bracket, such as BigMoran, Nicozy, which are just two amongst a whole bunch now playing. But you kind of, and this actually might be exciting, you have the opportunity to build something literally from the floor up. You can start with arenas, you have the Horde Guild, you have the dude branching out, going to start something Alliance, and the opportunity to make something, so you bring these skilled, old-school, respected players like, say, Nicozy or Stubbs or Ondura back, and they're like, dude, we need to give this EU shit a shot.
Yeah. Well, I believe that if, as long as we're trying, that like it's better than not trying. Like we have a shot to actually make it, and if we're not trying, it's not gonna work. Like it have to start somewhere. So then we can be the ones that do it. I think we have a good shot to do it.
I mean, it sounds like you do. You got a good idea of how to move forward. You're understanding that some classes are ridiculous and you're trying to avoid those. Yo, Moran, you know what we should do? We should make some EU accounts. What do you think about that?
I've thought about that, like, in the past, like, because I wanted to do that for max level at one point, but, like, I don't know. Maybe. It's a big maybe.
Yeah. Well, it's never gonna be the same thing as US, because US have this, like, like if you look at like 19s, they have like these guilds that actually like play, like they play like skill ratio. They play like together. They don't play with. They play a lot and they play together. Like they have a feeling in the guilds that I think that many EU guilds, they don't have that. Like they don't have the feeling. Like they just have the guild, not the other part. Which I believe is. I don't know, that sucks about the EU. Like we don't have that. We have no guilds that actually like have these feelings. So I guess I tried to make that work with our 39 Twin Kid.
Now, why do you think that is? Do you think it has something to do that EU is, I mean, quite obviously made up of many different countries? So maybe there's some sort of like, screw the French or screw the Germans. I'm a Swede, god damn it. I mean, is there some sort of inherent thing there?
It used to be that.
Yeah. I didn't play too long back.
That's what it used to be.
Yeah, I didn't play back then, but I believe, like as you said, and Nicozy said, sometimes for some people it might be, not for me at least, but I don't know, it could be. I also think that many like EU players, they don't play 19s for the same reason as people play 19s on US, and people don't play like, I don't know, twinks overall is another thing on US than EU. It's not like there's more feeling and it's more like passion about twinking on US, sort of.
No, I guess I kind of get what you're saying, because on the US we have things, I guess, like the Twink Cup, and the Twink Cup saw EU players come over. And I mean, in the cases of like Rula and Blackout, they pulled sleep schedules that would make a doctor be like, "Damn, son, what are you doing?"
Yeah, I watched the games and I couldn't watch the finals. Like, didn't work for me. But I don't know. One thing that actually like I think the biggest one is that you have like what's it called, living, and you have like I don't know, all the people that host the things, like the big things, they're in US. We don't have anyone that hosts or make things work. Like, we don't have a bracket master or whatever you want to call it. We don't have any one of them like on EU. No one plays like 19 and tries to be hosting stuff, or like, I don't know. That's what I feel, at least. We miss the guys who actually want to take things in their hand and actually like make something out of it. That's something like I know people that have tried, but I don't know. That's something we might miss.
Well, Moran, you're someone that came into 19s, very quickly made a name for yourself. You have a well-established YouTube channel. You have your new podcast that's doing great. You speak well. I mean, it seems like, couldn't someone from EU just jump up and do that? Like, do you have any advice? Like, say there's someone listening to this right now, like, I think I could do this. Like, what would you tell them? Would it be just like jump in and do it?
I mean, it's really hard because like I failed at it really miserably like a few months ago. But like,
no, I don't mean
it's all.
Or sorry, go ahead.
But I mean, the biggest thing is like you kind of have to like take it like slow, like much slower than you'd think. Like, people, like it. The thing I mentioned on this podcast like a long time ago, I think, is like twinks are like really confusing to me because like, you know, all it takes is people just log on their characters and queue. But it's so hard to get people to do that for some reason. Like, it's like really weird. Like, I mean, that's all you literally need to do is just tell people to queue up, and that, you know, you'd get a pop or something. But it's really hard to get people to actually do that for some reason. So like, you have to just like take it slow, pretty much, and just, you know, not force it. And, you know, I think I mentioned before, like starting with war games, I think is a good way to do that. You just get like, at least like a small player base that's willing to play every week, and just play war games with them, and then you start attracting more and more people. But yeah, it's really hard. Like, it's for whatever reason, it's unknown to me what that reason is, but it's really hard.
Rise and I shit you not, have probably spent like legitimately a week's worth of time discussing bracket revivals, successes, failures, what works, what doesn't work. And like, that's how we came up with our criteria. Like, start early, okay, that's one. Do you have multiple games going at once? All right, that's another. But it also seems like, Nicozy, this is something you and I were talking about. It's like monkey see, monkey do. It's like, well, if you're not on, if games aren't popping, what am I going to do? I'm sitting here in Stormwind, just, I don't know, sitting on the water fountain, or I got to this really cool place on the roof. Why am I going to log over on this tune to go wait in queue for 39? And it's like, well, you know what? If you did that, and maybe 5 other people did that, we'd be playing these 39s and just start, instead of just talking about the possibility of this being a revival.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even now when we actually have games and we have like double pops, triple pops on US 39s, which is like insane. Like, there's no doubt that they could start even earlier. It's just some people get that mindset of like they literally won't log on until the first game has popped.
No, and there'll be people.
There's always that.
There's people that I played 39s with for years. They'll know exactly how this works. I'm like, I'm sorry, man. I'm having a great time in Asheron. Until I see one game going, I just can't bring myself to do it. I'm like, just at least get in TeamSpeak, talk with us. It's like, nah, man, Asheron is super fun, bro.
Said no one ever.
Olonko, please.
Oh, well, I feel like we are starting to wind down towards the end. Are there any things that you guys, and just speak out individually, that you guys still want to cover, or should we actually wrap this thing about up?
I don't know. I think we pretty much hit all the points. I mean, I said this last week, but if people, at least on US, like, make more FCs and more healers, I think that'd be really helpful right now. And I want to start playing some non-FC maps for once. Like, I don't know if Anatomy's listening, but like, we need to queue some Gilneas or something, or queue some Silver
Oh,
Shard.
you
Like, I
forget
don't want to.
Anatomy handed off the bracket master
Oh,
baton
yeah.
to Senor Boots. Holla.
Yeah. So Trash Glamour, we should queue some Gilneas. I think that'd be really fun, or some Silver Shard.
Speaking of
I'm sick of FC maps. God damn it.
Oh god, and you know what it is? I'm not even just sick of FC maps. I really think I am just, and this is gonna be like XP off Twink blasphemy. I think I'm over Warsong Gulch.
Yeah. Me too.
Heathens!
Yeah, right.
Burn them! Burn them all!
But I don't know, Moran, you've been in some of the games. Does Twin Peak just seem so much more dynamic and like just more fun?
Well, yeah. I mean,
can't-
Twin Peaks
I can't
seems kind of fun, but the problem I have with Twin Peaks is people like. There's been so many games where like people are clueless. It's the same concept as Warsong Gulch, right? But some people like forget that they're playing an FC map, and like that's just where it's frustrating to me. Like, well, okay, so I was in a game recently where we won the team fight in like 2 seconds. Like, we absolutely destroyed them in the team fight. And then for whatever reason, our entire team decided it was okay to try to escort our flag carrier. And I was like, wait, guys, like, where the hell are you going? Like, stay in mid. Like, let's just like. And like I stayed behind for so. Like, I was like, why are they doing this? Like and so our like an 8-man group on our team went to go escort. I was like, why? Like, come on! Like, we're still like we can snowball this into an easy win. But it's like that's my problem with Twin Peaks is like people just for whatever reason don't realize it's an FC map and like they forget the mechanics of like FC maps. But
I think
which is why I think Gilneas would kind of be fun because it'd be really goofy for a few games, and Alex was really goofy where no one really knows what's going on those maps. But I don't know.
I think a small thing, like, why you might feel that UB about Warsong, like, especially in the 39 bracket, is that, like, any class that carries the flag that's not a Wrestler Druid in full FC gear just dies.
Yeah,
like,
you're talking about my hatred towards last week, aren't you?
well, yeah, but, like, it's true. Like, you need a Wrestler Druid FC, otherwise your FC, like, dies early stacks to, like, a Rogue alone, or... a BM like that. It's that easy. It's so dependent on having that residue in it, which is why it can be a pain to play Warsong Gulch if you don't have an FC.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's just because I've been doing Warsong Gulch for so long too. And you know what else I think it is? It's not necessarily related to 39s, but just how awful the 20 to 29 bracket Warsong Gulches are. I feel like it has just tainted my desire to play Warsong Gulch almost forever. It's like someone took a shit in my Warsong Gulch salad, and I just don't want to eat it anymore. I'd prefer to grab a burger or something.
Yeah, like Cancer, because Cancer's been queuing 29, so I was asking about it. The way he described the bracket is he kind of described it as like this weird paradox where like nothing happens, but like everything is happening. Like flags are not capped, but people are dying, and then people aren't dying. It's just like this weird mix of like just things that shouldn't be happening in games, and they all seem to like happen in 29 games. Like I had some experience playing 29s. It just felt like a slugfest. Like, you know, you just kill the free to plays, and you know, it's like playing old school Twinks, right? Where you just kill the levelers.
Yeah. And
you just like destroy the levelers, and then like you occasionally have like a good 1v1 versus someone. But it's just like 29. Like the fact that people multi-box at 29 apparently on US, like that should be enough to like let you know like how goofy like the bracket is. Like it's just so weird.
It is. I guess we're gonna get on a slight 20 to 29 tangent, but I suppose it's inevitable, seeming as how I sent us down this road. I find it crazy too, and you brought up the most astute, inaccurate thing ever, is that bracket is the most similar to, you know, the old school pre 3.2 twinking possible. You have people that legitimately are trying the game for the first time. You have people who are free to play twinks. Now you have people that are vet twinks, and now you have 29s. So it's like, what in the fuck? It is the most effed up stew possible? And that
Yeah.
I really think that whole thing has turned me off of Warsong Gulch. And now that we have the Twin Peaks option, it's like, oh, we all love FC maps, right? Let's rock Twin Peaks. Like Moran, no one knew what the fuck they were doing. Let's take a few times, figure it out, and we'll get a handle on it. Because a lot of people probably have played it, I don't know what, while they're leveling, and that's the extent.
Yeah, and I don't know. I still think like Gilneas would be pretty fun. And I saw Bun say something about Eye of the Storm in chat. EOTS isn't very fun to me, like compared to the like max level RBG EOTS. Like it takes so long to capture a base with the King of the Hill system and Eye of the Storm, and just the fact that like the midfield doesn't have a like rocks around it to protect from knockoffs. Like it would just be a mess. Like literally, it would just be I think a very unenjoyable time. So that's why I think like Gilneas would be more fun because you can actually like. It's a click to capture the flag system or capture the node system, and it's way better than the King of the Hill. And I like people are saying Arathi. We could do like a Arathi basin too, but I don't really like AB. I've never liked Arathi basin. And I think Gilneas would be more feasible since it is a 10-man and it's a bit faster than Arathi basin.
Yeah, hell yeah! Like Vibecka, what do you think? Say EU ever gets to the point that you guys could just like schedule up, it's like, let's run a Gilneas. How do you think that would work out? Do you feel there's, because this is a point of contention which was brought up in last week's cast, do you think there's enough CC to make that BG possible, or do you think there's not enough and it's just going to be a Zerg fest for the first two nodes?
I know a lot of people that would like to not play like Warsong Gulch or capture like or Twin Peaks. I think many people would like to try that, especially me. I'd love that. I'd love it so much. But I'd be happy just getting the pops going. Like I don't care what map actually, but getting Gilneas, that would be nice. That would be really nice. I understand why Moran wants Gilneas to start going, because you have the big team fights there and actually like spin the flags and etc. etc. Something else to work with than just like go grab the flag, go back, go kill EFC on 6 stacks and you're done. Like some team fights would be nice, like to see how the bracket works when it comes to big team fights. Because the team fights are different than when it comes to like team fights in Warsong Gulch. It's not the same thing.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. I don't know. I'd love any BG.
It's like, even give me AV. No, you don't want
that. Yeah, anything. Like, we get happy. Like, it's not often that we queue, like, unlocked XP pops. That's just when, like, I feel like I want to go on my FC and just, like, hold the flag. I don't know why, but just do it. We get happy just get that pops because they take so long time to queue up for. It takes, like, 40 minutes to queue for them, so... we sit there and wait so long, but I don't know. We get happy even though we're happy for the small things.
Well, Nicozy, playing something like Gilneas might make the Frostmage CC even more viable. Like, do you think something like that'll come out where it's like, oh shit, it's like, yeah, maybe that'll open up some sort of doors that we didn't even know were possible to kick down.
Yeah. Or you just put like a BM with guard on every base, call it a day. You know, you could also.
You're gonna be that guy right now, really?
Wow.
Well, I'm just saying, let's not like get all dreamy here. Like Frostmage is cool, it's really good. It's just if someone touches me, I take damage, and I don't really have any way to regain health. Whereas a BM on just undispellable slows all day. Never die.
Does that not come back to something we were talking about a little bit ago, where it's, maybe BM is one of those things that's a little ridiculous. And yes, we shouldn't go in and say, ban this, ban that class. But, like how we took aim shot out of Hunters and 29s, which sounds a little ridiculous, but it kept the bracket going for a long time. And we actually did kind of a similar thing in Dirtynines for a while, and it kept it going for a long time. That perhaps removing guard will even the playing field to a point where, yes, they have that undispellable slow, but at least they don't have an undispellable God mode button.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it. It's more about class stacking and just general healers, stuff like that, I think. As long as there's not multiple BMs in a game, you're fine, even if they use guard, I feel like, most of the time. But, yeah, I mean, it's a point of contention, like you said, so I'm sure, like, a majority decision will be made on TI at some point, but to me, it doesn't really matter as long as, like, I see max 1 each side, basically.
You know what's going to be exciting is the conversations in TeamSpeak tonight, how they spill over to the forums tomorrow, and then, Moran, what we're talking about next Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
Well, all right. I think this might be the actual wrap-up time.
Wait, on the
go
note
ahead.
of the TeamSpeaks,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't here this Wednesday or whatever, or apparently there was some TeamSpeak shenanigans going on in Alliance.
Yes.
But I played the Saturday, so before that, and Alliance had like 4 or 5 people maybe in the TeamSpeak channel, whereas Horde had like 2 TeamSpeak rooms filled with like 10 each. It was like,
I noticed that as well.
yeah, so if anyone's planning to play tonight, or who's in the stream, or just for future references, if we can try and like get more people in TeamSpeak, or if you want to use something else, like, but just try and get in touch with people so people can target call and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, Horde is super dominant, I think, too, because of that. Like, definitely, Wednesday's games like Horde owned, and I think it's because they had better communication. So.
And also, anyone on Alliance or anyone considering making a tune, if you would like to make an Alliance FC, it'd be kind of nice. I think Nicozy and I could help you out, Airy Peak side.
Yep.
And Vibecka, throw in the closing EU39 rally cry for things to start happening.
Yeah, everything that it takes is either level your 29 twink to 39. It takes 1.5 to 2.5 hours. Depends how fast you are, what class you are.
Mm-hmm.
Just run the dungeons. I don't know. Whatever you make, whatever you do, one more person to the bracket is one step closer to the pops being possible. I don't care what you make, like, as long as you join and just show activity. That's all we ask for. And people say it all the time. They don't want to spend the 2.5 hour of their life to make a 39 twink. I don't know. It takes no time to make one. I don't know.
But then it's also like, what else are you going to be doing? I mean, if you're playing WoW, like we were talking about earlier, what are you sitting in Storm? Like, I have spent more time sitting in Stormwind just talking to Nicozy than I have leveling every tune I have.
Yeah, but so many people on the EU, they say, like, because the 20 to 29 bracket there is very, very, like, special. As you said, it's goofy. I don't know. I don't like it at all. But people broadcast on my friend list. I don't know. They say all the time that, it's so shit, it's blah blah blah. I say, yeah, come make a 39 twink then. Join the, like, because this is 10 times more balanced than 29s would ever be. 29s would ever be.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I tell them, and they say, like, yeah, but why would I? There's no, like, activity going. And then I just tell them, one step closer, like that. That's what I believe. Yeah.
All right, man. As Velotion said, the dream. We're going to close it out here. You can find BIS Nation at bisnation.net.